Welcome back to another Film Geek video, and it's that time again. Time for me to rank all of the movies I saw in the month of March. So let's get this started. Now, this time around, I'm going to do things a little bit different than last month. Last month, I went from my favorite movie I saw to my least favorite movie of the month. This time, I'm going back to the grading system. Just because I saw so many movies in the month of March, it makes it kind of weird on the webpage to try to get a good format for editing, and I don't want to have to mess around and cause too much work. Too much work that I just don't have the ability to do, okay? I'm not the world's greatest editor, so I'm trying to make this as easy on me as possible. So let's get into this. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to see all of the movies I wanted to in the month of March, because right in the last weekend of March, I started feeling really sick. And so I just stayed home. I didn't go see the new Godzilla Kong movie. I regret that. I'm going to go see it. Don't worry. I'm going to go out and see it. I just didn't do a review for it or anything like that. But luckily I had a couple of other movies that I saw earlier in the week, so it wasn't like I didn't get any videos posted on my channel or anything. So thankfully I had those two films. But yeah, I didn't get to go see Godzilla and Kong, and that's kind of a bummer on me because I love Godzilla. But oh well, I digress. We as humans, we get ill every now and then, and we need a break. And also too, happy Easter. At the time of filming this, it is Easter Sunday, so I got my Peeps cup right here to enjoy my coffee, and it's too early in the morning for the brew, so that's why I'm sticking to my coffee, alright? So you know what? It's enough of me sitting here jabbering on. It is time to get over to that series of tubes we like to call the internet and rank all of my March films. Welcome to the internet, everybody, and let's get this started, shall we? So, as it goes, A, of course, is the best of the best, the finest of the fine, the classics of the tomorrow, those types of films. Stuff that I found just absolutely phenomenal and should be handed all of the awards. Okay, maybe not all of the awards, but you get what I'm going for. And then B, you did a good job, great effort, not perfect, but I enjoyed it. C, had a great time, fun film, wasn't the best thing known in the known universe, but it passes. D, you could probably fold laundry and keep up with this film just fine. This is not something that is too awful hard to watch. You might enjoy it, but you're probably not going to ever watch this movie ever again. It's not something that's going to be sitting on your shelf. And also F, absolute failure. Go home. You failed. No prize. Good day, sir. I said good day. All right, let's get this started with number one on the list here. We have Dune 2. Now, come on, you guys. You know where that's going to go. Dune 2. I loved that movie. That's going to go right here in the A class. This film was damn near perfect. I honestly can't think of anything that I at least disliked about this movie. It is an excellent story. It's good for a sequel. You could kind of watch this as a standalone film. Maybe. I don't think you should. To be perfectly honest, you need to take in the entire story to perfectly understand exactly what's going on with this film. But it's an absolutely perfect sequel, and the acting is phenomenal. The special effects were gorgeous. I mean, this was an epic sci-fi film of the likes we haven't seen in a very long time, and I am loving this. It's taking me back to the old Lord of the Ring days when those films were coming out, and the anticipation, the excitement. That's what I feel with Dune right now. So yeah, I'm loving it. So Dune is definitely in A class. Next, we have Imaginary. Now, if you watched my video for Imaginary, you knew for a fact that's going to go right there in F. For what the fuck is this, to be perfectly honest. I did not like this movie. I did a huge rant already in my review for this film. You can go back and watch it. But basically, this is a PG-13 horror film. And it sucks. It's absolutely terrible. It's all of the reasons why PG-13 horror films get such a bad name. You know, not being scary, just being something to pull the kids in because they can at least see this one without mom and dad's permission or whatever, or sneaking in, or, what have you. So at least give us a good story. At least give us something here. If you can't have the gore and you can't have the language, deliver something else. And what pisses me off is that, Blumhouse has done this before. Megan, I didn't think it was a perfect movie, but it was good. So they've done PG-13 horror correctly. They just really fucked it up with this one. And it's just a tragedy, because this movie should never have been released in theaters. It's just an incompetently made film. I'm moving on because I'm getting a little too uptight about this. Next up is Kung Fu Panda 4. Man, I had an absolute blast with this movie. Again, it wasn't a perfect film, but I had so much fun watching this movie. I'm going to put this right here in C. C for, like I said, just a good amount of fun. I thought it was a good story. I don't feel like this franchise is running out of steam. There might be some new avenues they can cross with this movie or this franchise. I'm not sure, but this really worked as a great wrap-up to the storyline. If you've been following all of the Kung Fu Panda films, this one does a good job of bringing everything together and giving characters a nice little wrap-up to the film series. But it leaves room for maybe there's going to be more. If they can keep up with this level of quality, I'm on board. Let's keep it going. Alright, next up is Damsel. Now, Damsel, I did give that a positive review, and I did enjoy it. But I don't think it was necessarily an A or B. It's definitely a C movie. It was still fun. I still enjoyed it. But due to its lack of just the special effects, to be perfectly honest, the special effects, the set, the movie looked very cheaply made. And for a film being on Netflix with the prestige that it had and so on and so forth, it really needed to look better. And I'm not saying that it had to be huge and cinematic and everything, but for God's sakes, the CGI in some scenes is just god-awful. And the set design, and some of them, again, some of the scenes, it just looks like plastic. And what's weird about this movie was, as I pointed out in my review too, was it seems like it gets better progressively as the film goes on with the CGI and the set design. It's just kind of weird how it just got better, but anyways, the movie isn't terrible, but technically speaking, I just can't give it much higher than a C. Story-wise, it was fun. Acting was great. It had some good stars in it. Everyone does an excellent job. Just story, it's just the technical issues that film had. Just made it look kind of cheap, very made-for-TV, even though it's Netflix. I don't know how that works anymore. Made-for-TV, streaming, VOD. What's the worst quality now? I don't know. But anyways, moving on. Moving on to the next film, and that is The American Society of Magical Negroes, a movie that made so many reviewers uncomfortable to say on YouTube. And I really did enjoy this movie. I did. I gave it a positive, but I didn't think it was everybody's cup of tea, and it's going to put me right here in C. It was funny. I thought it did enough in that to be a good, solid comedy, and David Alan Grier is just the shining star of this film, and it was the chemistry between he and Justice Smith that really made me like the movie much, much more. So, right there in C level for that one. Now, that brings us to another film, and this movie, I didn't really go into too much depth when I did my review on how much this film affected me, because it really did on a lot of levels, because it was just so well executed for somebody like myself, someone who was around the same age as the characters during the time period, in the same part of the world. I identified with this film in so many ways. It's not even funny. And that's the film Snack Shack, and it is going to go right here in A. And I don't think everybody's going to give it an A rating out there, but I am, because this movie just hit home. There's so many scenes in this film that just took me back to the old days. There was this barbecue scene that I swear to God, it was so spot on. I could smell the summer air in the theater. It was amazingly done. It was such a well-made movie, so personal. You could tell that the writer, director just had so much of his own personal experiences put into this film, because it just seemed way too personal for this just to be completely made up. It was too well made. And I feel like they are going to completely mismarket this movie, and people aren't going to watch it because they're just going to think, oh, it's just another screwball teenage comedy, and in reality, it's an extremely heartfelt coming-of-age film. It's set in 1991. Two teenage friends end up, I guess you could say, renting the local snack shack at the pool, and then hijinks ensue. But if you watch the trailer, it makes it look like it's some kind of like teen sex comedy. But in reality, it's a very heartfelt, down-to-earth, very grounded in reality, slice of life coming-of-age film. And there is just some excellent stuff in this movie. And unfortunately, I just don't think a lot of people are going to get out there and see it. So, if it's still in theaters in your area, please check this movie out. If not, keep an eye on it. Keep hitting the Googles. Wait for it to show up on the streaming services. And let's make this movie a cult classic. Can we? Can we? All right, let's agree on that one. Next up, we have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Now, sadly, guys, I'm going to put this in D. I'm going to put that right there in D. And that's only because there's such big, long gaps between anything interesting Ghostbuster-wise that goes on in this film. You could literally get up, walk into the kitchen, do a load of dishes, come back, and you wouldn't have missed a beat if you're watching the first hour of this film. You are not going to miss much whatsoever. It doesn't really do much in the first whole hour, and then it finally gets into some fun stuff, but we just don't get enough of it. It was just way too much world building, way too much focusing on, I'm not going to say the wrong characters, but it was just focusing in the wrong areas that didn't make it a fun, heartfelt, movie for the Ghostbusters. Plus, I really didn't bring this up in my review either, but I felt like a lot of misguided nostalgia was in this. Not that it was too horribly heavy-handed, but we really didn't need it this time around. They did a great job with it in Afterlife. We didn't need stuff like Peck being the mayor. Like, why? Why is this guy mayor? How did he get likable enough for people to vote for him for mayor of New York City? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, I digress. The film's not terrible. It just wasn't as good as the previous film. It wasn't as good as Afterlife. It wasn't as good as Ghostbusters 2. And it certainly wasn't as good as the original 1984 film. But it does have its merits. It does have its moments. It wasn't god-awful. I think it's going to resonate more with younger audiences. And that's fine, because I get it. I'm an old man. I'm not the target audience anymore. Boo-hoo. Sad for me, right? But still, I gotta give you my honest opinion on the film. But I think kids really enjoyed it more than adults. Now that brings us to the next movie, Late Night with the Devil. Guys, this movie was right up my alley. I love horror films like this. It tells the story of a late night TV show host who wants to try to get some really heavy ratings. And so on his Halloween episode, he invites a woman who may or may not be possessed by a demon. And let's just say, well, it's called Late Night with the Devil, alright? So, yeah, craziness goes on. I don't generally enjoy possession films. I don't. It's not something that I find all that scary or anything like that. It always comes off as hokey to me. When anybody has like a demon possessed with them, they always do the same damn things. They do the creaky, cracky thing, and they climb up on the ceiling, and they do all that same bullshit every time in these movies. This one didn't do that. This one was really cool. I like the way that it was presented, with it being a, found footage film. I'm a huge fan of the found footage subgenre of horror, and this one was a really unique way of doing it, making it this like forbidden, not seen in years episode of a TV show, and you can watch it yourself now. They started it off kind of like it was a documentary, kind of like it just has an intro. It's like, you're about to witness, and then it goes into things, and from that point on, it is just like an episode of a late night TV show that just so happens to have a possessed girl on it. It was so wild. It was very well made. Everything looked very good. I did bring up the AI art thing in my review, so you can watch that if you want to hear me talk about my views on AI art. I'm not going to get into it, but I don't feel that it was enough to absolutely ruin the film, but I think they learned their lesson, and I think that's it. No more. Don't do it again. Don't. No AI art. No. All right, so let's move on. Oh, wait, I forgot to give that a rating. Yep, right here, an A. I really enjoyed that movie. Next up was Spaceman. Now, this is a film that I had a lot of high hopes for. It looked really interesting. I enjoy Adam Sandler in a dramatic role, but this just wasn't it, man. There are good elements in this film, but it's just so boring, and it takes so long to get there. It is definitely a laundry folder, so we're going to put it right here in D. So Spaceman tells a story of a astronaut who's on a very long, I think it was like years, 2 years, 3 years, some on, solo trip to this thing that's out in space that never quite really gets explained too awful well in the story. And then something else I started thinking about later on was like, why did he have to be alone? But anyways, so the movie itself is okay. I personally didn't enjoy it. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's worth a watch, but I don't think it's something that a lot of people are going to ever watch again. Let me put it that way. So that brings us to another movie that I kind of feel the same way about, and that is You'll Never Find Me. And so, yeah, that one's going to go right here in D also. And unfortunately, this is definitely one of my kinds of horror, okay? I definitely like the more cerebral, slow burn type of horror. But this movie didn't do it right with the cerebral and all of that stuff. It just kind of throws it at you all at once and so on and so forth. The story itself was really good. I enjoyed watching it develop. I also like the performances between the actors. It just takes so freaking long. It is more slow than Burn, and so that's why it finds itself with a D. Alright, that brings us to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and that's going to be right here at B. It wasn't perfect, alright, so it's not getting A, but god damn, man, if I didn't have fun watching this movie, it was a blast, and it's actually made me look forward to this new Pooh universe that they're talking about. All of these different films coming together to form their crazy-ass slasher anti-superhero group that they're working on. I think this is a lot of fun, and if they can keep these films with this level of quality, then keep them coming. In this one, Winnie the Pooh decides to take the fight from the 100 Acre Woods to the general public, and let's just say it is a bloodbath of the likes almost of something like Dead Alive. Not nearly as gory as Dead Alive's ending, but you know what I'm talking about if you know the Dead Alive and the gore at the end of the film. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is what it is. It was a goofy, self-aware, fun slasher, and it was everything that the first movie should have been but wasn't. But hey, they only had so much to work with back then, and they knocked it out of the ballpark this time around. Now that brings me to my last film of the month. Now, I know this movie didn't technically release in March. It's coming out later on in April, but I saw it in March, so I put it on my list. So here we are, and that is Sting. Guys, I liked this movie a lot. I really did. I'm going to put it right here at B. It wasn't a perfect film, but it was damn near close. It was a perfect creature feature. It's nice to see the classic old creature feature coming back to the theaters and bringing a little bit of spice to it at the same time to make it just a little bit unique and set it aside from all the others. But not enough that it's, reinventing the wheel. As I like to say, they added a little grease to the wheel so it wasn't so squeaky. That's the best way to put Sting. It's just a really fun little story about a girl and her pet spider. You don't hear enough stories about little girls and their pet spiders, and I think that Sting did a good job of explaining exactly how that relationship works. Well, guys, here we have it. We did it. We sat down, we ranked the month of March, and I saw a lot of really good horror this month. I really did. I'm happy with that. A lot of fun stuff in theaters, and I cannot wait to see what's in store for me in the month of April. So, all right, guys, it's enough of me sitting here yammering. Thanks again for watching the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's another thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna. Oh, and happy Easter.